safe to say there's a healthy amount of skepticism surrounding Conor McGregor's retirement announcement over the weekend. Sent out a tweet after UFC 250, and if we're keeping score, this is the third time the notorious MMA's called it a career. And usually it's happened right after a pay-per-view event. Here's the tweet with his mom. Hey guys, I've decided to retire from fighting. Thank you for all the amazing memories. What a ride it has been. Here's a picture of myself and my mother in Las Vegas post one of my world title wins. Pick the home of your dreams, Mags. I love you. Whatever you desire, it's yours. Heart emoji.
I don't think that it's an if someone comes up and brings some drama or whatever and eventually fights Conor McGregor. I think it's when.
Yeah.
Because someone's eventually going to do it. Someone's going to bring the heat. They're going to say, Conor, like, you're retiring, like, blah, 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 blah. You're a baby. Like, I can beat you up, all that type of stuff. And then Conor McGregor's ego is going to get going. And there's absolutely no way that Conor McGregor can sit in his basement watching as someone on TV is, like, besmirching him.
So given that, like, we've seen reports recently that Mike Tyson might be back, like, who would you guys think that could entice McGregor enough to come back?
Mike Tyson.
And who would you actually want to see him fight?
Mike Tyson.
What about you, John? Khabib? Yeah. I think he'd get smacked again.
I think he would get smacked again by Khabib.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think he's dumb enough to do it if the drama became big enough. And I do think Tyson would be. I don't think that the fight would be entertaining, but I think that the overall build up and all of that would be very, very entertaining.
It'd be a cool rematch.
It's interesting there that you guys didn't mention Floyd Mayweather, because that was really his last big highlight fight. I know he fought Cowboy and all that, but Floyd Mayweather was when he was really prime time. And earlier today, we got McGregor on Instagram posting a photo of a birthday cake that says, "Happy retirement, Daddy." And you got Floyd Mayweather saying, "If I'm not mistaken, didn't you tell Mike Tyson you could beat me if we fought a second time? Now you're quitting. I thought you wanted to beat the best. Well, if you decide to come back, I will be waiting to punish you." Punish!
So it's on. It's on.
It's been a day!
It's been literally a day. I mean,
He's already getting exactly what we predicted.
Yeah, I mean that's not enough to bring him back at all. But I love that Floyd's coming at him with this. I mean that he's just like. I mean, plus didn't McGregor call him out a month ago too? Anyway,
I think all Floyd had to do was say, "I will be waiting to punish you again. I am your daddy," and McGregor would be back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, I also think that Conor McGregor realizes that at this moment in time, there's just not a market for. I mean, it's tough because there is a market for UFC because of people would want to watch it, but at the same time, there's so much going on right now that UFC doesn't really matter. I don't know.
I feel like the crowds are a really big part of UFC.
Yeah.
There's so much hype to the
true.
crowd. It's cool to just be right up there, right next to the cage. I mean, I've never been there, of course, but it's something to think about. That would just be such a crazy experience, and it's cool to have the people just screaming at you right next to you while you're fighting this man.
The visuals you see, too, with the McGregor intro, where he's got the Irish flag, and it's all orange and green, and the beams are going everywhere, and the crowd's wild.
Yeah.
You don't want to...
That's true. I didn't even think about that at first.
He's not walking out in silence.
Yeah, that would just be bizarre.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Malik Monk was suspended at the NBA and then reinstated for cocaine. Drew, what do you think about this?
Cocaine!
John?
Why are we just hearing about this now?
La cocaína.
Woo!
All right, we're ready to go.
Malik Monk.
So,
Malik Monk.
why do you guys think, on to John's point, that we are just finding out about this now when this report of Malik Monk being suspended, this happened on February 26th?
I'm not really surprised with the fact that the Charlotte Hornets, being that it's run by Michael Jordan, are really good at hiding stuff from the press. If we've learned anything from the Michael Jordan documentary, it's that he is able to There's some skeevy stuff going on, and we clearly do not know everything, and so he's very good at keeping stuff from people.
He's a sorcerer, dude. He's a
absolute wizard.
He's a wizard. I don't know how he does it. Like, stuff like this is supposed to get out. When an NBA player is suspended for cocaine mid-season too. The fact I was so surprised when I realized that it happened during the season. So he actually missed time because of this suspension. And literally just no one realized that Malik Monk wasn't playing. Are there any Charlotte Hornet fans?
Who cares about Malik Monk, right?
Like, how did no one realize this at all?
I think there's a lot of fishy things going on here. One thing it reminds me of is when Hanley Ramirez got released by the Red Sox a couple years ago.
Yeah.
We never knew why. A couple weeks went by, and we find out that in some way or another, Hanley Ramirez was in a car, driving it, that had some bricks of cocaine in the trunk, and was pulled over by the police. So I think maybe with the harder drugs, sometimes there's more of an initiative to hide it from the player's point of view.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful publicity, of course. You don't want to be dealing with that. As well as if you're going through an addiction or something like that, you don't want it. You don't want everyone to know about it. And these players are just athletes. And they're just, especially they're just kids. I mean, how old is Malik Monk? 24?
Not older than 25.
Yeah. I mean, the poor kid.
Not much older than we are.
And imagine the whole country's talking about your cocaine addiction. That sucks.
I feel really bad for Malik Monk, but at the same time, this has a really bad look for the whole Charlotte Hornets organization.
Horrible look.
Because you can't have an employee showing up to work, even if it's in the NBA, it doesn't really matter what work environment, and not know that he's on cocaine. And furthermore, if you don't know, that's one thing, but the people that do know who weren't helping him and actively trying to say, hey, Malik Monk, you can't be doing lines of cocaine, you're an NBA player. The employees who are hiding it, that's a horrible look.
Yeah, because there's no way that you wouldn't know. It's so obvious when someone is addicted to something like cocaine that they're addicted to cocaine. It's just a fact. When someone's addicted to cocaine, they're acting all weird. They're always needing the fix and all this different stuff. And so I have a hard time believing that all these teammates and coaches and trainers and whatever in that organization have spent all this time with him all season, and it wasn't brought up once.
Whatever it was, it didn't help him. He still wasn't good.
Yeah, no, obviously.
Hey, Obama in college did a little coke.
But he wasn't trying to shoot threes.
No, he was not.
Well, I mean, also that just shows you that
when you're anybody young, can do it.
Yeah, that when you're young, people make mistakes, people mess up, they fall into bad places and whatnot, and do stupid things because they're kids, they're immature. But I mean, as long as I like to say, no mistake is a mistake as long as you learn from it, and that's just what we're gonna have to see because he's a young guy. He's still got potentially a long career ahead of him. If he recovers, and I mean, maybe if he puts on some weight, he can come back and be an even better player than he was before. So I think it's going to be really exciting to see, hopefully, if he starts climbing up from here. Hopefully this is his rock bottom, and the sky's the limit.
Exactly. You want to root for Malik Monk here, and you don't want him to be someone like Josh Gordon where it ends up derailing a career, or Justin Blackman, some of these great NFL wide receiver talents we've seen. On to your point, he's been pretty frail since coming out of Kentucky, and we always thought he would put a build on his body. Maybe now that he's not doing whatever substance he was doing, cocaine or not.
Well, that's what makes me think it was cocaine too, because when you do cocaine, you don't eat.
I think a bigger issue too is that it can't only be Malik Monk. Maybe in some outlandish scenario, Malik Monk is the only person in the entire Charlotte Hornets organization that's doing cocaine. But I feel like there are other people, whether it's staff members, I hope not players, but just other people involved in that organization who are participating, because you don't normally just see a rogue cocaine user in the NBA.
No, you could see a rogue cocaine user, but you don't see a rogue cocaine addict. You know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly.
That's the key difference. And I mean, yeah,
I was just thinking about it, and I was thinking about really skinny people in the NBA, and who would be possible cocaine users based on skinny people. And number 1 was Brandon Ingram.
That's a great call. Wow. Because he's been skinny ever since he's been at Duke. He's never put on weight.
That is a crazy one.
KD?
DeMar DeRozan.
He's a
He's got some size to him.
He's a little thick.
Yeah.
You know who's not doing cocaine? Nikola Jokic. No cocaine for that.
No cocaine.
No cocaine.
For the Joker, man. No way.
I think the one thing we really need to stress is that regardless of all the jokes we've made about Malik Monk, this is an addiction, and furthermore, it's a disease, and we all just really hope that he has a full and speedy recovery, and that this is just, as you guys have mentioned, a rock bottom, a bump in the road, and that maybe this is the wake-up call he needed to become the NBA star we thought he could be.
Well, he's the most humble kid that you would ever meet, Jim. I mean, even coming into this year, I mean, he's a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher, and the way he walks around and, in the locker room or on the field, you would think he was a walk-on or some lowly kid, but he's, the most dynamic runner that we've had since I've been here. But his humility allows him to get better, and our kids see that, the other players see that, they feed off that. If they see the best player is a hard worker, he's humble, it's not about him, it just makes your team closer and tighter.
You're definitely looking at a Julian Edelman type player. I mean, maybe even you're looking at a much faster Taysom Hill type player, because he can really play quarterback well. I mean, he's not an NFL quarterback by any means, but he can get the job done if you want to do a quick little trick play every now and then. He should be great out of the slot running quick routes as long as his hands are good. His moves are elite. He's got spectacular agility. He can run, quick little end around routes from the slot, some handoffs from there. You can play some running back, and then I assume that they're also going to have him on returner a decent amount, which should be exciting at the very least.
He seems like he'll be super versatile. You always root for a kid from Navy, and I just can't wait to see where his career goes. I really, really loved your Taysom Hill point. I think him behind Tua, if you can kind of use him in all different ways, it could be just a great little tool to have.
I didn't even
Kind of seems like a Wildcat thing.
That is crazy. Can you imagine those two just coming up together if they really go full Ravens and commit this offense to this special group of players? It would be sick, because even their offense is a little different as well, just because Tua's a lefty.
Could you imagine a flea flicker with Malcolm Perry as the running back? Who's throwing the football?
Yeah.
What's happening? Where's the ball going?
You have no clue.
Oh my god.
There's going to be, and especially, this is the other thing I was thinking about, is that how we were comparing him a lot to Julian Edelman, who's on the Patriots with Bill Belichick, and now the Dolphins coach is Brian Flores, of course. I mean, and he was the defensive coordinator, so you think he's more of a defensive mind, but honestly, I mean, he was a great coach last year. I see no reason why I wouldn't believe in his ability to at least try to make use of this kid, especially because of, kids from Navy, he's going to be a hard-working kid no matter what. He'll be a good kid in the clubhouse. I don't see a way that it turns out poorly.
I think the final thing I'll say is my little sneaky NFL comparison. Obviously it's not perfect because this player was never a quarterback. He can't really throw, so there's a whole another added element. But just as a running back, Tyreek Cohen and his shiftiness and
yeah, I like that a lot. He's a little bigger than Tyreek Cohen, but he's the same. Tyreek Cohen though also has a little more weight. He's a little, because he's smaller, but it's the same, just quick, super shifty. Can utilize him in different ways, and the fact that he can pass is awesome.
NBA owners almost unanimously approved a new 22-team format to resume the season in Florida. The only team to vote against it, the Portland Trail Blazers.
Do you guys think Portland can actually make some noise in the postseason? They got Dame, they got CJ McCollum, they got some players.
No, I don't think so. I think because they are going to end up with, at best, the 8th seed.
They got to go against the
They've
Lakers.
got to go against the Lakers. Dame's money, but I mean, come on, dude. That's not going to be a series.
I was talking about this morning, dude. I could see Portland and maybe the Pelicans putting up a fight and stealing a game or two from the Lakers. I think that's a very real possibility because I think Zion is, a phenomenon.
Yeah, I can see the Pelicans stealing one.
Yeah. So and they're a bunch of former Lakers too, so I feel like they would put up a really good fight against, the Lakers in round one. I don't think they would win by any means, but I think that would be the most likely people to steal.
There are certain teams that I'm rooting for because they would definitely make it a lot more entertaining. Are you guys? That kind of made me think. Are you guys rooting for the play-in game with the Wizards?
I personally think the Orlando Magic might be the most boring, decent team in the NBA. Like, I find no enjoyment in watching Vucevic, personally.
The Lakers would curb stomp the Magic.
The only entertaining player on the Magic is Mo Bamba, and that's because of his name and because there's a song about him. Yeah. Not even because of him as a player.
Maybe Aaron Gordon, but he doesn't even win the dunk contest, so...
And Aaron Gordon also, barely even gets any, national recognition compared to, what he should get if he was in, a Boston or a New York or something.
My issue is, TV money aside, this all just feels, way more complicated than it should be. To just tell me who's going to get smacked by the Bucks or the Lakers.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, though, it's more basketball. I don't care. I'll take more basketball.
And the elimination games are going to be entertaining.
They're going to be entertaining, for sure. I haven't been this
I'm so excited for the elimination games,
would you
let alone
guys,
the playoffs.
Would it surprise you a ton if the NBA said that if it went over well that they would consider using it in the future?
So I think, there's no way you could input this exact rule where it's if you finish 4 games back, you play in for the 9 seed. But however,
not 4 games.
If you wanted to do something
even less, yeah. The more I think about it, the less I like it because, it should be you're in, and where would it stop? Because I don't think that the NBA playoffs necessarily need an expansion, and if you wanted one, you should just go for a full one, I think. But I think it's just an interesting... Because I do like the idea of it for this year, at least. I think it's cool. It'll be entertaining.
I think I like the idea of a 1-game wild card, but I just don't like the rule. The rule works for this year because it's 4 games.
It was necessary because the season's cut short, so those teams wouldn't have the same amount of time to come back.
Exactly, but in the future, maybe just the 9 seed plays a 1-game play-in game for the 8 seed or something like that. You keep the 1-game play-in with the single elimination and the double elimination rules the same, but you just can't have it be 4 games back. It has to just be the 9 seed.
Yeah. No, I agree.
John, would you like that? Would you want to add a 9 seed play-in game similar to this year where the 8 seed gets 2 lives and the 9 seed gets 1 every year?
I don't know. It depends how far they're back. Maybe if they're within 2 games.
Yeah, because what if you add that rule and you say the 9 seed gets in and then the 9 seed is 8 games back and then miraculously wins? Then that kind of stinks for the...
But it'd be a crazy entertainment value in those 2 games watching a team that sucked all year just ball.
Yeah, but then you have to watch that horrible team go up against the number 1 seed.
Exactly. So either way, both teams are going to get smacked by the number 1 seed. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but the better team would have a much better chance in that case.
The 8 seed never has a chance.
Imagine the Wizards were just eliminated entirely from this. The next closest team in the East would be the Charlotte Hornets, who are 7 games back for the Magic. Imagine that was a matchup.
Again, horrible scenario.
For this 1-game playoff play-in.
Yeah, that's why I just
I would hate to see the Magic, who have a decent schedule, even a decent record, even though it's below 500. The Charlotte Hornets are just a far inferior team.
Yeah, no, they're not the same team.
But my point is that the Orlando Magic, the Charlotte Hornets, the Bulls, the Wizards, the Knicks, the Pistons, the Hawks, the Cavs, it doesn't matter what team you name, they're all going to get smacked by the Bucks in the first round. They might win a game or 2 if they're lucky.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think that some teams are more entertaining to watch than others. Regardless.
I think aside from the entertainment value, the last thing it adds is it gives a little break and a little rest for all the players coming out of their season before the playoffs that aren't that 8 seed. So it makes like the games coming down the stretch, like the battle right now between the Brooklyn Nets and the Magic, where they separate each other by a half game. All of a sudden, those last couple games at the end of the season are really important because you don't want to be in that play-in game.
Yeah, that's true. I do like that.
I think the Wizards would be so fun to watch. I think those games would be offensive games.
Today we welcome Ben Cooney on the HangTime Headlines podcast. Ben is a corner who has led the CMS football team in interceptions in both his freshman and sophomore years, as well as earned SCIAC All-Academic Team and Second Team All-SCIAC awards. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing, Ben?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
First question. So what has been your experience in virtual training this off-season?
It's definitely been a lot different. Waking up instead of going to lift and at practice, waking up and getting on the computer to do a Zoom meeting. I'm not a huge fan of it because I hate just sitting around, and it's basically like taking another online class. So we can't do anything on the field, so I haven't been a huge fan of it, but it's still been good to be able to talk to the team and with the coaches.
Recent reports have surfaced that Tom Brady is holding throwing sessions for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Are you training with anyone during the quarantine?
Yeah, I actually have a couple buddies who also play football in college. One of them plays at Wisconsin. He's a tight end. And then one of them plays at Butler now. He was at Holy Cross. But I go out and we do running circuits and lifting stuff with them. So
growing up as a Bears fan, who do you think will be their starting QB this year, Trubisky or Foles? And if you had to bet your bank account on them making the playoffs this year, would you?
So here's my prediction for the next Bears season. We're going to have Mitch. Mitch is going to start 9 or 10 games. He's going to get us in the playoff race.
I like it. I love it. Maybe have one bad game or either suffer an injury. Hope it's not the injury. But then I think Foles is going to come in for the playoffs, and you know how Foles does in the playoffs, and lead us to a Super Bowl. So.
All right, Ben. So, what's the hardest that you've ever been hit?
This is kind of a funny story. So, my senior year of high school, we were playing in the state quarterfinals, and there was a punt return, and so I caught it, and I got a little room running down the sideline, and then I saw this super small kid. He was probably like a backup corner or something. And I was like, it was on our sideline, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a play. Like, I'm gonna run this kid over. So I'm sprinting full speed at him, and I put my head down, and I just get absolutely destroyed from my right by some like 6'4", 250-pound lineman. I got up and I almost fell over. I started like walking over to their sideline. It's a tough one.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you plan on letting your kids play football?
Yeah, I definitely want my kids to play football if youth football is still around by then. I've always wanted to be able to coach my kids at some point in my life, if I have kids.
Yeah. Did you ever have a favorite player growing up?
Yeah. My favorite football player growing up was always Charles Tillman. He's a Bears corner. Great guy off the field. I didn't personally know him, but he seemed like a great guy, and I just liked how he played.
What was the craziest on-field moment in any sport that you ever played growing up?
Alright, so I'm in like 5th or 6th grade. I think it was 6th grade. We're playing in a basketball AAU tournament. And we had these two twins on our team that were probably like 6'5" at the time. So they were huge. And we're playing this team from Indiana that was like a super good team, and they also had like 3 kids that were over 6'3". And so we line up for the tip-off, and I'm sitting back there. I'm the only kid on the court who's like not above 6 foot. And one of the guys on the other team looks at one of the twins for the tip-off. They're both doing the tip-off. And he said something to him. I don't even know what he said. And then the kid on my team just immediately swung at him. There was an all-out brawl before the game even started. And I'm just standing there in the back, like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I get in on it? I'm probably gonna get my ass kicked. And then after that kind of settled down, the mom of the twins and the mom of the guy he punched sprinted at each other mid-court, started fighting.
No way.
No way.
So the game got ended. We got taken to this room, and then we walked out like 20 minutes later, and we saw one of the moms cuffed, and he was getting let out of the basketball place by cops.
That is out of control. All right, with that, what was your most embarrassing moment in the game?
My most embarrassing moment. I have two.
Let's hear 'em.
Both basketball. This was another AAU basketball. We were in 7th grade, but we were playing it up in an 8th grade tournament. And we were playing this one team. We got to the championship. We were playing this one team. And they had a kid who was 6'11" on their team. And he was going, I don't know, he already had offers from somewhere. And he gets the ball in a fast break. So I was running down with him. I was going to try to, poke the ball out. But I didn't realize how close we were to the rim. And he just jumped up and absolutely posterized me. Got an air one. Balls in my face.
Oh, God.
Second one is high school basketball. My junior year, we were playing this terrible team. And we knew they were terrible. We knew we were going to blow them out. But first play of the game, I'm guarding this kid, this skinny kid, long hair, almost down to his ass. And he comes down the court, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to steal the ball from this guy. Comes down the court, goes between the legs once, and then crosses over, and I fell straight to the ground. My whole team was going insane on the bench. I wanted to get subbed out. So we go down the court, we score, they come back down, and I was pissed, so I tried to full court press him. And this kid literally broke my ankles again.
Just get back on the bus.
And to this day, I'll describe that kid as the shiftiest basketball player I've ever played against. He was a terrible basketball, but he broke 4 different people's ankles that game.
Oh my gosh. So what was it like playing against Tyler Herro in 7th grade basketball? Was it clear that he was going to be an NBA star back then?
Well, it was crazy because he played on this team called Wisconsin Playground Elite, and I don't know if you guys know who Jordan McCabe is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was on that team also, and we all knew who Jordan McCabe was because he was all over YouTube for being a basketball prodigy and stuff. And so we go out to this game, and we're all freaking out about Jordan McCabe, and then this other kid comes out and drops 40 on us. And we just had no idea who it was. And then figured out after it was Tyler Herro. I was in the NBA. So that was pretty wild.
Was he a big kid in 7th grade? Or was he...
Yeah, he was over 6 foot for sure. I don't know what he is now. 6'5", 6'4".
Something like that.
Not huge. Thank you so much, Ben.
Yeah, thanks, man. This is awesome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Ballin' crazy with the hang time.